Well, not so good news in U.S. manufacturing. And some of you are going, okay, Ken, how does a dip in U.S. manufacturing affect me? It might affect you as it relates to a really clear indicator that a storm is coming. U.S. manufacturing activity slumped in March to the lowest level in nearly 3 years. So let's put that into perspective. There's all these key indicators, but the Institute for Supply Management released survey results on Monday of this week. And they're looking at key indicators, and the key indicator they call a PMI is below the 50 threshold, which is a concerning number for them. And it hasn't been this low since May of 2020. So I want you to catch this, because in May of 2020, the world had largely shut down. If you look at February, into February is when COVID kind of starts becoming a reality. Like, whoa, what is happening in the United States? Kids go home from school, everybody's not working. And so you go into March, April, May, it's like, what's going on? We're getting different things every day. And we were seeing people that were being laid off, furloughed, and nobody knew what was going to happen to the U.S. economy. So we're talking about a slowdown in the month of March that is the lowest level, and it's not too much higher than when we had a full stop in manufacturing, which, by the way, created supply chain issues, which what led to the kickoff of inflation that we're now experiencing. All right. That's just 101 economics, all right? So Chris Lowe, who's the chief economist at FHN Financial New York, said this in this Reuters article. Manufacturing is pulling back, but the service sector is still chugging along if we look at February's numbers. But the health of manufacturing is always related to the health of the overall economy. And he's right. So I want to try to make things really simple for folks, because I think when you watch TV and you read articles, you get a bunch of really smart people talking way up here. And good news is I'm not really smart. And so I live down here. And so I'm going to explain this very simply. The reason that manufacturing results are a good indicator of the overall economy is, what is manufacturing? Okay, let's look at multiple industries of manufacturing. Okay, so I'm going to run through some of these because this is going to make this all really simple. Oil, petroleum, coal, machinery, metal, mineral products, textiles like clothing, transportation equipment, computer and electronic equipment, electrical appliances. Okay, so just when you hear things like, oh, the manufacturing industry is slowing down, you go, okay, I kind of think I know that manufacturing is anything that is producing a product that you're buying. Okay? That's everything from refrigerators to semiconductors that big companies. So when companies start to slow down on their orders, there's a couple reasons why they would slow down. One, they're looking at a potential recession. They're looking at their numbers and they're going, we're anticipating that consumers are going to slow down, or we were at a really high level of production and we're going to kind of slow down on our orders, save some cash for a potential storm. Okay? That's one reason. They're kind of anticipating a storm, and so they slow down. The other reason manufacturing slows down is because consumers stop buying. Okay? So that's why when you see these manufacturing numbers dip, it's not a panic, clutching pearls, but it is, okay, this is interesting. I need to pay attention. But as of right now, the service sector, which is another key indicator, and that's your food, that's your restaurants, right? Certainly leisure and hospitality, tobacco, alcohol, which, by the way, if we saw anything about the pandemic, the world could pretty much come to an end, but people are going to drink their way to the last second because alcohol and tobacco sales went bananas during the pandemic. Why? Very simple, and I'm not going to get on a rabbit trail here. People are medicating, right? My life sucks. Pass the bourbon. All right. So keep an eye on that. Now, let's go a step further. So a lot of economists are still saying there's a good chance that this economy moves into a recession this year, 2023. Others are saying it may be 2024. But if you take the consensus, and by the way, economists are just like weather people. They're only right half the time. And that's being generous. All right. However, I don't want to in any way minimize these people's opinions because they are paying attention to some factors that if everything falls the right way, you can have a recession. And we are certainly teetering as an economy because inflation is high still. Okay. Unemployment is low right now, but the Fed is trying to raise interest rates to where they see a spike in unemployment. And if we go from where we are now, somewhere between 3.5, 3.6 unemployment this year, and we go to 4.5%, 5%, Jerome Powell himself, the feckless Fed chair, has even said, look, we may have to see unemployment get to 6% in order to see companies start laying people off, stop hiring, and we see an end to this musical chair, great resignation phenomenon that's still happening, which is what's driving inflation and keeping it high. All right. But the economy is teetering on stagflation, which is where you have inflation high and the economy receding. That's bad. So we are not in a recession. There's no guarantee that we will get to one. However, we are teetering on the edge with a couple things happening, and all of a sudden we recess. All right, now, if that happens, what are the industries that historically are hit hard? And I'm giving you this to warn you. This is where the second job, third job, cutting expenses, coming up with multiple streams of revenue is really important because these are the industries that are very risky if we get into a recession. Real estate, that makes sense because people stop buying homes, stop selling. Construction, because we see in a big recession, we see many housing starts stall. Manufacturing, we've already been talking about manufacturing. When consumers pull back, manufacturing slows down. Retail, again, this is a consumer-driven industry. And then leisure and hospitality, people aren't going out to eat, they aren't traveling. Okay? These are the first ones to go because this is where layoffs happen. Okay? Now, when I talk about this, I'm just warning you that if you're in these industries and a recession happens, you are more vulnerable. So I would be preparing, cutting expenses, saving money. Well, you're in a job economy right now that anybody in America can say, I need a little extra cash. You can go get it. We have about 10 to 11 million jobs available. That's about 2 jobs for every person unemployed. We got 7 million working able men who are sitting at home right now. Now, if those dudes come back to work, we got a bigger problem because now you're going to see those jobs contract because they're going to get filled. Right now, a lot of jobs available, so you can go make money. So if you're in one of these industries, what is my advice to you? Don't panic. Keep being as valuable as you can at work. Make yourself as invaluable as possible, but also know that you can't control the whims of an executive who's worried about the spreadsheet. So I would diversify my income, and I would save like a madman. And then you'll be recession-proof. Be warned. Be vigilant. Work hard. Hustle. Be prepared. You got this.